who are in their 20s, their periods are all messing up. What can women really do to fix this?
Girls as young as 8 to 10 are getting their periods.
Which is a problem.
And it's coming in from the pseudoestrogens, which are coming in from your plastics, trans fats, microwaving food, processed food, chips, pastries, your hydrogenated vegetable oils that children are eating all the time. Our restaurant has the worst possible crappy food for an 8 to 12-year-old. India, don't eat out.
I want to talk a little bit about perimenopause and menopause.
All women going towards menopause will gain fat percentage. As you go from 45 to 70, fat will keep going up, muscle will keep dropping. The only thing that can keep the weight gain in check is the added muscle mass.
Biggest red flag ingredient to avoid in packaged foods.
Maida, palm oil, sugar. Look at all the sweeteners and preservatives. Preservatives ka naam hai bhai dustbin mein fek do. If I really want to have something tasty, have a black forest cake. No problem, but make sure it's
I'm going to basically just have 3 questions and I'll break it down as per age group and based on what I'm seeing and talking to different women in different ages, right? So I want to start with the younger generation today. And what I see in most, women who are in their 20s is their periods are all messing up, right? And if you ask me, I feel like period is a woman's health report card, right? And at 45, I can say even till date, I've not had to worry about my periods. It's always just crept in without me having any idea. It's always got like a good cycle. I've never had to deal with cramps and pain and everything. What I see now is, of course, more women talking about PCOS, more women at a younger age talking about irregular periods. Of course, we know it's got to do everything with lifestyle, bad sleep, bad food. But we'd love to hear from you. What can women in this age do? First of all, of course, address the fact that your periods are all over the place. But what can women really do to fix this? I mean, I feel like food and lifestyle can do everything.
So let's rewind first where the woman starts her menstruation cycle.
Yeah.
Our grannies got it at 14, 15.
Correct.
My generation got it in their 13s and 14s. The next generation getting it 12, 13. Now girls as young as 8 to 10 are getting their periods.
Which is a problem.
And it's coming in from the, what is called as the xenoestrogens, the pseudoestrogens, which are coming in from your plastics, your trans fats, your microwaving food, your processed foods, your chips, your pastries, your hydrogenated vegetable oils that children are eating all the time, right? So the first things first, it's the parents' responsibility with girl children to get the nutrition of a girl child really planned, because the girl child is more emotional and will listen as compared to a boy child. And therefore, when I work with pediatric nutrition, between the age of 8 and 12, I tell mothers, one, if we can get a blood test. Why?
Okay.
Because if you have iron deficiency, the kid's not going to sleep well. The kid's constantly feeling tired. So the parents are going to think, I need to feed this kid more. But extra calories is hurting the reproductive system that is yet to start.
Got it.
Okay, so you're overeating or you're undereating. Why undereating? Because a lot of girls are overweight between 8 to 12. Before they get their menstruation cycle.
Yeah.
Why? Because their mothers may have made the mistake of eating erratically during the carrying of her during pregnancy. Imprinting happens. The research is there. But women are trying to be super women, go to work, be the best at work, be the best at home, be the best to the husband, and then have a child and be the best to the child. Just before she has the child, she's doing all of this best things, but ignoring her body. So that's where the imprinting happens. So this poor child is now born with something which is a back foot. Therefore, it can be changed. Nutritional knowledge, nutritional discipline. No eating out. India, don't eat out. Our restaurant has the worst possible crappy food for an 8 to 12-year-old. My son and me never went out to eat. Always had food at home. Only now of late we started going out and he says, Papa, I don't like to eat out. Let's eat at home. Habits are formed. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, once she gets her menstruation cycle, you need to have a blood test done. You need to know calcium. You need to know iron. You need to know whether she has a ferritin deficiency. You need to know B12 and magnesium.
Yeah.
Because you know what? when these are deficient, evolution has made us naturally to respond to any stimulus or deficiency. Meaning what? I'm deficient in magnesium, I'm deficient in sodium, potassium, electrolytes, I'm deficient in iron. Nature says, I have it in fruits and vegetables. Guess what? I'm going to give you cravings. Shwetamri, you may have heard there's something called pica, where pregnant women eat chalk and mud. How is that possible? How is it possible subconsciously a woman can eat chalk and mud in rural areas? Because it's evolution. Now, when you come to Bangalore and you have the Starbucks and you have the cafe coffee days and you have the Magnolia bakeries and all, chalk and mud changes to pastries, chocolates, fried foods, all of this stuff. Boop, 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 boop. So now this 12-year-old is eating that. Now she suddenly puts on weight, and that weight has got all the bad fats in her body going and pinging on her ovaries, saying, giving her thappad and saying, I'm not going to give you a good period. I'm going to give you polycystic ovarian disorder, many cysts in my ovary, right? So this condition starts. And that happens because of insulin resistance, because you've given so much of bad food. You think you're giving a good food. No, it's not being balanced. Just because you are born into a South Indian family with dosa and idli, and just because you're born into a North Indian family with paratha and dokra, doesn't mean the food is correct.
Yeah.
I mean the portion for that kid. ले लो और एक पीस ले लो, ले लो और एक पीस ले लो, ले लो और एक पीस ले लो. So मोटापा आ जाएगा. Why would Prime Minister say 10% less oil? Because you're eating more fried food. Restaurants are using more fried food. It's the taste pleasure. So this 12-year-old suddenly has gotten fat. She goes to school. Between 12 and 14, she's getting shamed in school. Guess what she starts doing? She stops eating. Famine condition, stores more fat. Condition amplifies. So by the time she's 16, 17, she's 20 kgs overweight. And then she tries whatever and all, and if peer pressure is high, she'll try and go to the gym. And those are the girls that are joining the gyms today. Some of them are able to now take charge of their life. They work out, but they're still not able to eat correctly.
Yeah.
And that's because psychologically, food is 5 to 6 meals in a day, and training is only 1 hour a day. They can do the mental grit for 1 hour, but the psychological grit of food, and then suddenly she has a menstruation cycle coming in, and that could throw her off back because you have the cravings and she doesn't know how to eat, and she'll let go on a 1 tub of ice cream for 3-4 days. These are things that are happening. So it can be arrested at the earliest stage. And then what happens is she gets into a job. Again, she wants to prove herself. So she will not work out because she doesn't have the time. You'd see this in your gym.
Of course.
Girls between the ages of 21 and 30, they want to prove themselves in the workplace. So they work till 9:30, 10 at night. They have no time to get to the gym. They're ordering food in the offices, or they're staying in PGs where the food is substandard. They don't have time to cut fruits. They don't have time to make some salads. Nothing of that sort. So Maggi noodles, Maggi noodles, Maggi noodles, Maggi noodles. Next thing you know, they're looking for a prospective husband or a bride. So the girl's doing now what? She's looking for a crash diet.
Yeah.
She's looking to go for liposuction. She's looking to do all of these things just so that on her marriage day, she's 20 kgs lighter. Once she's married, whoop, back again. She's traveling the world, she's going here, and she's 20 kgs heavier. And 2 years later, she decides she wants to have kids. Now she realizes she can't get pregnant. I've seen this cycle in our clinic. Some people, they're lucky that their parents aligned a diet. Some people are lucky that they've got good genetics and they can take this hammering and abuse of modern day lifestyle. And some people, unfortunately, are slipping down the slope. So I think my awareness to people would be, get your diet in check at any age if you're a woman. And the problem, I'm sorry to say, Shwetamri, I'm now 50, so I'm going to say it bluntly. Women are very conjuice when it comes to spending on their own health. But on shampoos, makeup, shoes, nails, and bags, you will spend any amount of money. So I always tell women, what you put into your body needs to be of the highest premium quality. And I know this because I have a wonderful collagen, which is preservative-free, no sweetener, no artificial flavor. In fact, the manufacturer said, sir, you need to put emulsifier, otherwise it will clump after 6 months. I said, I don't want to produce high quantity. I'll produce for 2 months. When it swells out, we'll produce the next batch. And I tell people, don't keep my product for more than 6 months, even though the shelf life says 18 months, because it will clump. No emulsifier. But guess what? People call me up, your collagen is more expensive than the other one. I get another one for 400 rupees cheaper. So don't look at cheap nutrition because that's going to affect your ovaries. Yes, there are herbs out there that can help people, but again, it's the same thing. If the foundation is not correct, no matter how much of inositol, no matter how much of berberine I give you, no matter how much of Gymnema sylvestre, no matter how much of B complex I give you, no matter how much of protein powder I give you, unless you fix your nutrition. And by the way, women need to eat to lose.
Of course. I eat a lot and I love my food. And of course,
And dessert.
Yeah, dessert in moderation, Rishabh. But yeah, I've never, ever in my 45 years of my life gone on a diet, or, my meal plans have been structured by you and your team for performance. And the only time I worked on some amount of weight loss is postpartum, which literally every woman goes through, unless, of course, a 25-year-old has a baby and she bounces back in 3 months. That's a different story. But
that's one point. Post-pregnancy weight loss, this one tip that I want to give women in India. Don't wait for 2 years to come for a nutrition plan.
Yeah, I was going to come to that question next. But the reason why I'm so thinking about this whole period health, because the more I talk to women, the more upset I get that they don't care about.
Why do you get upset?
Because I've never had to worry about my periods, and which is why even at 40 when I had my child, it was easy, it was smooth.
But you remember for Yona, we planned your diet pre-pregnancy, yes, and everything.
And even, like you said, 3 months before having Yona or even planning for Yona, I remember doing like fertility tests. I ensured Vivek did his. And, you need to be careful despite being, in the industry of fitness, despite being careful, despite knowing that your health markers are fine. We still wanted to ensure that we have good quality sperm, eggs, so on and so forth, right? Like your fertility is still, then you don't have to struggle to get pregnant. But I mean, it's your periods. It's everything that a woman needs to depend on for her health. I mean, you can't mess it up.
If I can be, again, blunt enough to say this, I think in today's world, it has gone more about the looks than who you are. Because look at it this way. If it's looks, you look at a logic of what's the fastest diet so I can fit into these genes.
Yeah.
Versus my philosophy of being is, how do I sleep?
Yeah.
How do I train? How do I eat? And this is not only for the female gender, this is for the male gender also. So somewhere along the way, I don't want to call it spirituality, but just the essence of living has gotten very transactional.
True.
And because it's transactional, people believe that the diseases that they're getting are also transactional. Yes, it is transactional, but the transactions by which you're swiping this card of bad health is so massive that even a 2-month or a 3-month nutrition plan cannot fix it. Even a 6-month exercise plan cannot fix it. And so when people start on these diet plans or these exercise with weight loss exercise plans, as they call, see some gyms put lose 12 kgs in 3 months. And I look at that and I was like, it's not going to happen. Because evolution is created us not for rapid weight losses and weight gains. So changing your nutrition, and you don't need to do a diet. In fact, when I meet women who want to lose weight, the first thing I say is get your microbiome checked.
Yeah.
Because you've eaten so crappy for a good decade of your life without you realizing it. When people have a salad and they say, I eat healthy.
Yeah.
I think true definition of health is understanding what works for you. So I'll give you an example. I once had this case of a lady who thought that she needed to take high protein diets. And she was from Coimbatore and she was not losing weight or anything. So she came to me. So I said, ma'am, you do your genetic test. In a genetic test, it came back that she had a balanced diet, more prone towards carbohydrate and higher fiber. And she used to do Pilates, she used to do workout and everything. And I said, no, I need to have 2 grams per kg body. I said, ma'am, just follow my diet for the first month. First month, she lost 5 kgs because all of it was inflammation. So she was taking a whey protein, and then to prove my point, I asked her to do a food intolerance test. All the milk parameters, including casein and whey, were all red. So the moment we changed that out and just made her eat natural protein, she shrunk in size by 5 kgs. So sometimes even people who are healthy, the assumption I know what to do, may start with, please learn with what is in your gut
True.
and what is in your genetics, and then tweak it for your bio-individuality.
Yeah.
That is the fastest way to get a said result.
So when, women generally come to your clinic, what are some of the basic tests that you recommend to them and why?
So Rishabh, I mean, when people walk into the Cornerstone Clinic, it's very simple. I first ask, what are you willing to spend on your body? Because a basic blood test will be 6,000 rupees, right? But if I want a vitamin and mineral entire profile, so people are like, I got it in my blood test, B12 and D and folate. But that's only 3 vitamins. There's vitamin A, B1, B2, B6, B9, B7, B12, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. So I need to look at all of this. So people are like, okay, so then that blood test is around 12,000 rupees. But the moment you get the knowledge that something is not working, the next question they ask you is, what do I need to eat for that? Or what do I need to supplement for that? So that's one, the blood test, starting level. Then it's either the genetic test or the microbiome test. It depends. If a person comes to me with a gut, this part, the digestive, any digestive issue, I'm like, please do a gut microbiome.
Yeah.
Because the gut microbiome changes every 3 months. But we get a philosophy of which foods to put in to fuel the good bacteria and which foods to cut out to stunt the growth of the Gunda bacteria. And those Gunda bacteria are causing the inflammation and all of that stuff. On the other hand, there's the genetic testing, which is the nutrition genetic testing, the fitness genetic testing, then there's the disease genetic testing. So for example, I have autoimmune pancreatitis in my genetic marker, which means I have a risk element in my older years of getting that. So what do? I will try and not develop diabetes, but I knew my father got diabetes at 55. So I'm constantly watching my blood test, HbA1c. I put a sugar monitor on my arm and I'm like purposely eating something like, oh, this causes sugar spike. So I'm learning the experiences of what will work for me. Now, most people don't come with that awareness because we are from the industry. So we're like, okay, Ryan Fernando, let's do all of these things. So what I tell people is that keep aside once in your year about 25,000 rupees for your diagnostics if you can afford it. So if the person cannot afford that, at least do the basic 800 to 2,000 rupee blood test, which is the hemoglobin, the iron, and the B12. These 3 blood tests, because you will come to know immediately. And if you have crossed the age of 30, please do the liver enzymes. Because liver is the number one disease that is not being talked about, which is the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or metabolic liver, something is there. And the reason behind this is very simple, both in men and women.
Yeah.
Where does the fat sit? Goes and sits on top of the stomach, sits on top of the liver, sits on top of the kidneys, starts giving thappad to those organs. Those organs start failing. So disease of lifestyle progresses faster.
Yeah.
So if I have the genetic test, it's great.
And genetic test is once in a lifetime?
Genetic test is once in a lifetime, and that's a good part about it. But I'll be honest with you, I've done my 3rd genetic test because the research that is coming out is even higher and higher.
So the test results are getting better with
the markers that are being discovered. So let me give you an example. I tell the lab to keep my raw data, which means they've stripped my DNA and classified it. These are my base pairs. Then every time they come up with new things, they run my raw data on that algorithm and they tell me that, okay, they've just discovered that rheumatoid arthritis, they found another marker and this is the statistical analysis. Now, I'm no expert. What do I do as a nutritionist? I work with some of the best scientists and lab guys. So they're like, oh, Ryan Fernando, did you know rheumatoid arthritis is actually starting in the microbiome? I'm like, oh, I thought it comes with alcohol and high protein diets with purines. Yeah, but there's a bacteria that you either have or you don't have that is going to help you break down uric acid. And there is a DNA in you that will process uric acid. So my logic with clients is very, very simple. And if you see my language, I try and keep it very simple. Because even as an individual, I don't understand the complexities. I understand the logic. Boss, if I know I have a APOE gene that gives me high cholesterol, what will I do? Check my blood test cholesterol. If my blood test cholesterol is high, what will I do? Hey, ChatGPT, What foods lower cholesterol? You don't need to come to Ryan Fernando anymore. In fact, my latest diet planning app is built on an AI model. You can upload your blood test and it will give you a custom Ryan Fernando trained AI and machine learning model, which will give you a nutrition plan. But the problem is what? 30,000 people fill that form. Only 300 people availed of a free diet plan. India health loving.
Not.
India not health doing.
So they don't want to make that much of effort
Imagine.
in fact, they're getting a high quality plan for free, but they don't want to make
It was free. So it shocked me because no matter how much you and I shout from the rooftops, each person will arrive at their time to take care of their health.
Yeah.
There will be a moment they're climbing the stairs, they're getting married, a boyfriend dumps them, a guy can't perform in a bedroom,
A health scare.
Or just that I like the girl across the room, I got to get fitter. That's when the starting point, it could be pain or it could be vain. People will come. And then when they come, they'll start researching, they'll start learning about it. And I think the most important thing that if anyone's listening and they want to start this process, find like-minded people.
Exactly.
Oh my God, we just spoke about it earlier. Like-minded people, your surroundings make all the difference.
The blue zones say you live longer not because of diet, not because of supplements, not because of sleep, but because of the community.
The community, the like-minded people. Yes, 100%.
Exactly. Hang out with people who just push you and inspire you. Yeah. That's the biggest hack.
It is. That's why Rishabh wants me as his friend, his best friend.
Because if you surround yourself with people who drink, you'll drink. If you surround yourself with people who binge eat, you'll binge eat.
Which is also why he only drinks when I'm around. True, no?
You know what? Yeah. There's a new company coming out which is going to be making single malt whiskeys minus the alcohol.
Okay. So you'll have it for the taste and not.
Yes.
That's good actually, because I like the taste of alcohol.
Yeah, but you don't want the feeling.
So basically what's happening is they've also discovered, just 2 days ago, they wrote a paper on it about they've discovered an enzyme that can hack the link between alcohol and breaking down your liver or attacking your liver.
So this is basically no alcohol, right?
So basically one is to not do alcohol, teetotaler. Others to get non-alcoholic single malt. Third is to take a probiotic or an enzyme and still enjoy the alcohol in it. So the world is going to go in that direction. But you and I will always have a job because no matter how smart we get, the body is still going to give you a thappot.
Yeah.
Therefore, you have to take care of it. And you're born with one body, and as yet, they can't change the body. As yet. So I don't think it'll happen in our lifetime, but maybe Icon and Yona's lifetime, they will look at transfer of consciousness into a new body. Who knows?
Who knows, yeah.
And therefore, you and I have to convince people to change the way they eat and also change the way they work out.
I want to talk a little bit about perimenopause and menopause because, I'm in that category and a lot of women around me at my gym, in my life, are also in that space. And in general, there's very little spoken about, world over, of course, it's very little spoken about menopause. I just would love for you to tell us how nutrition can actually help contain a lot of, you can't change the symptoms, you can probably just experience it a little better. I mean, it's a part of our life which we have to embrace no matter what. There is absolutely no escape. But some people are going through hell with how they feel, the sleeplessness and just the weight gain, which is so abrupt, the night sweats. I mean, all of your typical estrogen depletion drama that comes with it. So how much can nutrition help us women in managing this better?
So I'm going to put it into a bite-sized process, which is one. All women going towards menopause, that's the stopping of the menstruation cycle, will gain fat percentage. Why? Because evolution has designed fat to also release estrogen. Have you heard of men having excess fat and getting male boobs?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's because the fat produces estrogen. So basically, women will put on fat. Dr. Stacey Sims, an exercise physiologist in Huberman's podcast, has advised women moving towards perimenopause to weight train.
Correct.
Yes.
Why? Because you now need more muscle.
Correct.
And between the ages of 20 and 45, most women have not weight trained and therefore they have gradually diminished muscle mass. Why do you need to weight train? Because as you go from 45 to 70, fat will keep going up, muscle will keep dropping.
Correct.
The only thing that can keep your fat mass, which is the weight gain, in check, is the added muscle mass, which can be achieved by the women weight training, strength training, and not lightweight, heavyweight like you do, Shwe. So when you start doing that, the logical conclusion is that you add a better quality protein diet. Step 1. Step 2, micronutrients, because estrogen keeps your skin good, keeps your hair good, which is the vanity part for every woman on the planet. She wants to still look good at any age. Therefore, nutrition is my new Louis Vuitton handbag or my MAC lipstick. How? I'll give you an example. As she grows older, the skin will lose its plumpness and elasticity because estrogen is dropping. We know that collagen maintains up to 40% to 26% higher ratios of everything from elasticity to skin hydration to skin tightness. So something as simple as collagen, which is bone broth soup, or a collagen supplement, can help a woman. Now, if she's vegetarian, she needs to find a vegetarian collagen, which has the amino acids of proline, hydroxyproline, lysine, and 2-3 other amino acids. In addition to this, the omega-3s are very important. The GLAs, gamma linoleic acid, which is evening primrose oil and borage oil. Now, I know what women will do. They'll start taking only the supplements. My point is, you can't take a supplement just like that without getting a whole outfit, which is the diet, in check.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And then comes this thing that all women believe that if they eat lesser or they fast, they will lose weight. Research is showing women who have a higher protein breakfast have greater satiety and eat lesser at dinner.
True.
Number 1. Number 2, women who eat a higher protein breakfast have a lower sugar spike post their meals. Women who have a higher protein breakfast, the sugar release into the bloodstream post meals is even lower. So focusing on a scientific nutrition plan, first level Olympic level athletes, second level perimenopause women, third level heart attack patients. So you see, I would highly recommend nutritional supplementation for perimenopausal and menopausal women.
Yeah.
It is expensive, but what I almost always ask all the women walking into my clinic is, please get your microbiome test done, your blood test done, as well as something on the functional medicine test done, because that will analyze the hormones and neurotransmitters. And so you're able to do better quality scientific planning of your diet. Let me give you an example. We know that jeera and ajwain and sauf have some amount of estrogen in it. We know that soya beans, edamame beans, or a soy protein isolate has a good amount of estrogen, phytoestrogens in it.
Yes.
And coupled to this, I have started insisting with all my female clients to do the cancer genetic screening. For my missus, without her knowledge, I got a blood sample collected and I got her entire genetic screening for cancer done, including mine. Now, touch wood, for both of us, we don't have the cancer markers, but we can still get cancer with environment, which means our food, our alcohol, our air, our water can cause cancer or stress. So I know I've not inherited it from mummy, daddy's generation, so has she. So that gives us a little bit of a safety security net, because a lot of women, as they come through menopause, the risk elements, both from the environment and genetics, is higher. And Shwe, a lot of women tend to brush their healthcare under the rug.
Yes, 100%.
And you know, I've worked with many breast cancer survivors on their diet, and the husbands are sitting in the room and they're like, if I had known that my wife was going to get this, I would have insisted that she get screened earlier. And then one lady one day confessed to me, he's like, Ryan, we really don't want to know because we can't deal with the fact that we're women and the breast means Angelina Jolie in breast removal. So sometimes it's at that basic a level
Wow.
that vanity. I need to look good. So I don't want to discover that I have a BRCA1, BRCA2 gene. By the way, if you have both sides, father and mother's side, parent or uncle or auntie, or even remote sibling having cancer, your risk of breast or ovarian cancer increases. I don't know the statistics, but now I'm just telling people, screen yourself.
You should please give us the details.
I
As
will.
in
I
all
can give you the link in the
ones that you've
description.
Yeah.
So people can get it. And the thing is, we are also not qualified as dietitians or nutritionists to explain it.
True.
So what we've done is we have told the lab, when these tests are done, you please explain it to the client, because it's a risk element.
True.
Then you go and meet your doctor. For example, there was this lady trying for kids in her late 40s. And do you know, fertility treatment, before you do fertility treatment, you should do your breast cancer and ovarian cancer screening. Why? Because when you give artificial hormones to plump you up for fertility, it can activate some of the cancer genes. Diet can activate some of the cancer genes. So I'll give you an example. I told my team, hey, resveratrol is really good. It's the most powerful antioxidant. Let's give it as a nutritional supplement for a lady who is just recovered from breast cancer. Now, because we had the tissue typing, estrogen, progesterone typing of the breast cancer tissue, we knew how to plan the diet. Dietitian called me. I was like, she's an oncology specialist. She said, Ryan, we cannot give resveratrol. There is a research paper that resveratrol enhances the response towards cancer or malignant tissue. I'm like, what? So there is an assumption that all supplements are good also. So please do not self-supplement in your perimenopause and menopause. Take the advice of your gynecologist or your family endocrinologist doctor, but most doctors will steer clear away from supplements because they're like, get it from your food. And therefore go meet a dietitian to plan your calories better.
Exactly. But food can help. It's as simple as that, right?
You know, I asked this question, don't eat for 10 days. Let's see what happens to you. Don't sleep for 10 days. Let's see what happens to you. You know, sleep is the new diet, is what I tell people.
Yeah, we should definitely talk a little bit about sleep for all those people who think they're heroes by trying to be productive for 20 hours and sleeping for 4 hours and still trying to fit in a workout for 30 minutes.
It's glamorized so much.
It's
at
very sad, but yeah.
They took 20 people and they told them to sleep 5.5 hours. Okay? And they tracked them for about 2 or 3 weeks. Exercise, diet was the same, lifestyle was the same, only sleep was different, 5.5 hours. Okay. And the calorie burn during the workouts was 572 calories or so. And then they told them sleep for 8.5 hours. And then they all the same people, they told them hey, sleep 8.5 hours. They did the calorie burn again. They burned 1072 calories.
When they slept for
more time.
Yeah. Got it.
Muscle loss was reduced. Fat burning was higher. Irritation on a metric score was lower. Moral of the story is this: there is significant research out there that says that longer sleep is better. And if you want to take a common sense stance, before the creation of electricity, the sun went up, the sun went down. It still goes up, it still goes down. But electricity doesn't allow you to sleep. Netflix doesn't allow you to sleep. Cellular phones don't allow you to sleep. Therefore, you're getting lesser sleep. But ideally speaking, if you and I lived 5,000 years ago, at 6 o'clock in the evening, we saw the sun down. There were no wristwatches. You and I were going to sleep. We probably slept till 2, 3 in the morning. And then we woke up on early dawn.
Yeah.
So when people say to me that they're getting by with lesser sleep, there is enough of scientific evidence to show the degradation. And those who sleep lesser, so today you will consume 900 calories more, and this is a documented scientific research. People who sleep lesser, the heart beats faster. So check your resting heart rate, it will be higher today. So because the heart is beating faster, it demands more energy.
Yeah.
Now, because you haven't slept, your hormones are cranky, you will go for foods that will give you a dopamine fix, which will be high sugar, high fat.
Correct.
So sleeping lesser actually triggers next day bad eating habits.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. That's why at 7 a.m. when he spoke to me, he's like, can you bring me food? Like,
So
I'm like, yeah, I'll get you fruits and
protein. Is to have a
protein.
high protein diet today, have a little bit of caffeine, expose yourself to the sun, try and get an afternoon nap, and hydrate really well. And a quick fix is do 5-5-5-5 box breathing for about 5 minutes. twice today, it'll kind of lower your cortisol and your adrenal levels that are trying to keep you.
And what is box breathing?
Box breathing is when you so you imagine a box over there. And so this is what my yoga instructors taught me, breath coach. So you inhale for 5 seconds. So you, then you hold for 5 seconds. So you're holding the breath for 5 seconds. And then you exhale for 5 seconds, then you hold. There's nothing in you for 5 seconds. And then you go again. So that's box breathing. So apparently what it does is it calms your parasympathetic nervous system. And that causes your heart rate to drop, which causes you to feel better. I met a billionaire once who says, Ryan, the truly wealthy people are the ones who can sleep 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I can.
That is a newfound wealth. Can you sleep 8 hours a day? And if you can sleep 8 hours a day, you're not rich, you're wealthy.
Okay, I do 7.5. I can easily move it to 8 because I go to bed at 9:30 and wake up at 5. So I can go to bed at 8:30.
Yeah. But I think 8 is like just a placeholder. It could be 7.5 for you.
So
it would be range bound is what I'm saying.
I use the resting heart rate to kind of give me an indication over a week. And so you do a week of 7, you do a week of 8, you do a week of 9, and then look at your resting heart rate. The lower your resting heart rate, and you push every other thing. You push your work, you push your workout, you try and eat clean, because nothing can also compensate for a bad diet.
Yeah.
In fact, there was another study done on people eating food and beauty sleep. So I'll just give you the tip on it, okay? There was a Norwegian study. They gave people junk food, which is high sugar, high fat food, on Friday night with alcohol. And they analyzed sleep study. They found that duration of sleep did not change at all. When I was reading the study, I went in a little deeper. And this is courtesy my good friend, Dr. Shane Criado, who gave me the study. He's a sleep doctor and a psychiatrist. So he said, Ryan, read the SWS sleep and call me back. So SWS sleep is the sine wave sleep, which is the deep sleep. Now, you need to know that during deep sleep, your body releases stem cells. Stem cells are the contractor cells, rejuvenation cells, beauties. Rejuvenate is beauty, right? What they found out was that people who had these Friday, Saturday night binges, the sleep time was not affected. But the sleep quality also was not affected. But the SWS sleep drastically shortened.
Yeah, I've tracked it.
You've tracked it?
Yes, and every time I've gone out, I've had a late night, I've drank and I've eaten, my deep sleep is a mess. And I would have slept for 9 hours.
So here's the thing.
Deep sleep is a mess.
So on the weekend, when you're letting down your hair and partying and thinking you're living life up, you're robbing yourself of a little beauty.
Yeah.
So the solution to the problem over there is eat clean when you're going out to party, dance the night away, and try and minus the alcohol. Your SW sleep will still remain at that 1.5, 2 hours of a 9-hour sleep.
So what is a good, like 1 hour is good of deep? If in a 7.5, 8 hour window.
When I work with Olympic level athletes and film stars, the more SWS sleep you get, the younger you look.
Fair. For people like us, okay, let's say just Aam Aadmi, who are trying to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep and have a long day of hustle.
If you're getting 1 hour to 1.5 hours, I think you're achieving a good rhythm.
That's a good benchmark for us. We'll do like 5-6 questions of just quick fire, where Ryan can give us like 20-second answers.
Okay. Yeah. One supplement that's overhyped and one that's underrated.
I think protein is overhyped because we're just trying to get people to take too much of whey protein, do the food intolerance test and determine which protein. And one that's underrated, I would have to say omega-3 and phosphatidylcholine. Omega-3 thins out the blood. We have a ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 for inflammatory markers. India has it very bad. Check your omega-3 blood test levels. It's a pinprick blood test level. If it's low, bring in omega-3 into your life.
Fasted cardio for women.
Fasted cardio for women, no. Women oxidize more fat. So when you are cardiovascular training, depending on your conditioning, where your heart rate is, if it's in zone 2, I'd like you to maybe do fasted if you're an elite athlete twice a week. But the rest of the week, you're eating. And for general Janta population, all women need to eat for a workout. If you're working out first thing in the morning, please have an essential amino acid or a branch chain amino acid. Try and do one without sweeteners and preservatives. It tastes horrible. So what I tell women is take a teaspoon of unflavored, unsweetened, toss it on your mouth and wash it down. Alternatively, eat a whole egg, have a cup of coffee, go for your workout.
I take the BCAAs for taste, by the way.
So Rishabh, I have a thing over here. You're going to work out for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
Take the next BCA that you take and see the label sweetener and the label preservative in it. And now ask yourself, is that giving me nutrition? Is that giving the real estate in my body a good thing? And that's why I've started at the age of 50 looking at labels much more aggressively and saying that, you know what, if I really want to have something tasty, have a Black Forest cake. No problem. But make sure it's got no artificial chocolate in it.
Exactly.
It's got the real chocolate.
Makes sense. Okay. Biggest red flag ingredient to avoid in packaged foods.
Look at the first 3 ingredients in the packaged foods. Invariably in India, it's maida, palm oil, sugar. So you shouldn't even be taking it. The other thing is, if you want to be a Puritan like me, look at all the sweeteners and preservatives. Preservatives ka naam hai, bhai, dustbin mein fek de. My body is the most expensive real estate. You are not worthy to come into my body.
One kitchen tool that transforms healthy eating.
I would do the a cold press juicer. I would do the air fryer. I would do the steamer blender because you can make beautiful smoothies and purees and porridges. And structured water with the Jiva water device. I really love that. Changes the bioenergy signature of the food, water, and everything.
Best time to eat your largest meal of the day.
Initially, it used to be breakfast like a king, but as per your circadian rhythms, and even looking at Ayurveda, it says by lunchtime, your digestive enzymes are propped up to get into battle. So eat lunch like a king and go to war.
Last one. I'm only saying this because I'm hearing too many people throw it around. Cortisol.
Cortisol is good because it protects you when you're stressed out. It's bad because our dietary habits is putting an additional level of fat in the diet, extra sugar and calories in diet, which cortisol says, oh, you are my friend, come, I shall store you in FDs, which is fixed deposits, fat deposits around your belly.
Okay, I've got one more.
Okay.
Ryan Fernando's fat loss protocol.
That'll be a long one.
Put a CGM device on you, know the foods that give you a high sugar spike, look at your genetic for protein, carbs, and fat and which oil not to take, look at your microbiome, realign your entire gut microbiome, and then start off with cinnamon, B complex, and L-carnitine, which are the safer fat burners in your diet. Go higher protein gradually over a 3-month period. Do only complex carbohydrates like beetroot, carrot, sweet potato, and try and avoid masala gisala for 90 days so you'll feel like you're a warrior.
I think that's not just fat loss. You will become a different person in 90 days.
Yeah. I love the no masala jazz.
Yeah.
100%.
Masala tempts you psychologically.
Okay, not so much for me. But
not for me also.
Yeah.
Another point in a fat loss program, nobody talks about this. Brush your teeth after every meal.
So
after every meal, huh? Not just
cravings.
morning, night.
Yeah, you don't have, because what happens, suddenly that vada pav escapes from the gap.
Yeah.
1 hour later, it's like, your brain says, I think I want to eat something more.
Yeah.
Fair.
Immediately, then your cravings are gone.
I mean, every conversation with you for the last decade has been priceless. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. It's always so good talking to you.
Seriously, thank you.
You're welcome.